Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
My name is Ben Dickerson. I'm your co-host, lover of everything football, fantasy geek, ready to get started. It's mid-season, bro. Matter of fact, we've passed mid-season. It's the second half.
I'm not sure how to feel about that. Football season goes by so fast.
I knew you were going to say that.
Basketball season lasts forever. Baseball season is interminable.
It never ends.
And
it's going to end tonight, though.
Oh.
Game 7.
You know, my Yankees is out of it, so what the hell? What the heck? All right. Look, you're absolutely right. We've done the second quarter, the first half. We're going to do the top 5. Okay. Based on the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, we are going to talk about last week's games.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the upcoming Bias Plus report.
Absolutely.
Also known as
the matchup show.
The matchup show. Couldn't get you this week, eh?
Uh-huh.
I got you last week, though, for sure. So let's get ready to kick this thing off. Let me tell you. Some surprises, always some surprises, and that's one of the things that keeps this whole thing so interesting.
Okay.
But let's go to the turnover differential. Our friend Todd.
Our friend Todd.
Let's start at number 5 with the Titans. Well, let's look at 5, 4, and 3 because the Titans, the Seahawks, and the Packers are all tied at 7.
Yes, they are.
On Todd. And I wanted to make sure, okay, yeah, once you drop past that, you're down in the 4s where the Panthers and the Niners are +4. You got a long list of 3s, Cardinals, Bears, Lions, Chiefs, Vikings, and Saints. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about the neighborhoods.
Yes.
That's a neighborhood right there. There's a whole group of teams all in that area. That's a neighborhood right there, 3, 4, and 5. Packers, Seahawks, Titans. What do you think?
Well, turnover differential usually speaks to strength of defense. Your stronger defenses are going to be that way partially because they're able to take the ball away. And these 5 teams do that quite a bit, actually. The Patriots are really strong. The Steelers, although they may not be in the top half of points against, do turn the ball over. Packers do the same. In fact, myself as well as a bunch of the pundits that you may see and hear on television and radio who were extremely high on the Packers defense a few weeks ago are coming to grips with the fact that they are not a complete defense. They still have trouble stopping the run, but they are very, very athletic and fast on the back end, and they get a lot of picks, forced fumbles on long runs, things like that, which puts them up there in the Tide running.
You know, it's funny you said Packers defense. I'll mention them since they're not in the top 5 in points against.
Right. And
interestingly, they are ranked 14th.
Mm-hmm.
But the Steelers in points against, 8th.
Okay. So the Steelers defense, which had their problems early on, seem to be starting to get themselves together and become a better all-around defense. But the thing is, if your defense turns the ball over, you're on your way to a win a lot of times. And these defenses, they get a lot of picks, a lot of forced fumbles, sack fumbles, and things of that nature are going to win games, even in shootout games.
Now, the Steelers just played the Dolphins.
I'm not giving them a skew. That actually was a good game for about 2.5 quarters.
It was. And then Fitztragic showed up and started tossing this thing with wild abandon. And that definitely helped in the turnover differential for the Steelers. I mean, he was just launching things. It was like, what the heck, man?
But in the first half, they were rolling up and down the field.
The first half, in the first half, Obviously, the starting quarterback for the Steelers coming off that concussion didn't have his sea legs quite yet.
Right. So consequently, they weren't scoring. So consequently, he was able to keep the offense under control for Miami.
We'll talk a little bit more about that game.
Yeah, sure. But when it got tight, when the Steelers started to put points up, that's when the wheels fell off.
Man, look, that's when the wheels fell off as a, what would they call that? What do you call it? Understatement?
Understatement.
An understatement.
Yeah, the wheels fell off, the transmission on and on.
It's amazing. It's amazing. But I do feel like they get a little bit askew. You might not.
So are you telling me you don't believe in the Steelers defense?
I'm saying we shall see.
Okay.
Let's look at the top 5 defenses.
Mm-hmm.
And the Steelers are not there.
Right, but you did mention they're at 8, so they're close.
They're not far off.
Okay.
They're not far off. So there you have a neighborhood here in the 120s. The Cowboys, the Bears, and the Bills. Bears and Bills are actually tied at 122. So those are the 3-digit teams giving up points right there. And then you have your top 2. I thought maybe my Niners, hands over the heart, they actually did. I think they actually did close the gap a little bit in terms of maybe net points and defense because they had such a good day. Good surprising day, as a matter of fact, against the
I wasn't surprised.
Oh, of course you weren't. Of course not. But in any event, number 2 and number 1 in terms of defense with the Patriots giving up only 61 points over an 8-game period.
Amazing.
I'm telling you, those
domination.
Patriots, and still I think, although we're going to talk about the offense. Matter of fact, let's just go to the offense because I don't think you can talk.
As you're getting the graphic up, let me just say about points against.
I
spoke on the Packers defense being such a great defense until people started figuring out they play a little bit better teams and they find out they're not a complete defense. I was one that praised the Buffalo Bills. They are not a complete defense. Okay, as proven by the Eagles, who had a running game and just found it somehow.
We'll talk about that. Matter of fact, in the games when we go
to offense, but defensively, they made a big impression on that Bills defense. Again, very athletic in the back, not so good in the front. Same thing with the Bears. Cats are getting run all over, man. Unless they can put points on the board and force you to throw the ball, that defense is going to get exposed.
Keep that thought in mind because that's a comment for later that I have. You're kind of on top of a comment.
Okay.
All right. Points 4. Let's see who's packing on the points here. That's where my Niners fall out. But that's okay. They're not that far down. They are 9th at 207, just below the Seahawks at 208, as a matter of fact. So that's 9th.
I'll bet you
Vikings are 7th. Hold on to your dollar. Texans are 6th, just to with 220 at 212, just to mention before we get into the rest of the top 5.
I'll bet you $1 the 49ers are in the top 5 in 2 weeks. Bet?
Well, I don't bet, but that's
okay.
An interesting
Gentleman's bet,
thought.
no dollar.
That's an interesting thought. Let me think about that a little bit.
Right.
Because what you see behind us,
yeah,
I played, I'm playing through the season.
Okay, so
this is the video.
Against
the Cardinals.
The Cardinals.
That's my next.
Okay, you won the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 200 yards rushing. Just
okay.
So if you get a chance, ladies and gentlemen,
not far off from the real thing.
Take a look at this here because
not far off from the real thing.
That's what he's saying. Not far off of the real thing. Chiefs at 226. We're going to talk about the Chiefs in that game, but it becomes apparent when you have a team like the Chiefs with as much speed and talent as they have around, that you can kind of have a fall off in terms of quarterback. The quarterback that they have, his talent level kind of matches the level of talent for for skilled players,
Yes.
and it's all very high. You can have a fall off, but if that quarterback is what we call, or what I call, a good point guard, you can be competitive. I thought they were pretty competitive. We'll talk about that game, but the 250 mark has been achieved by the Patriots. We can talk about their offense all we want, what it needs to have, what it doesn't have. They're the number one in points in the league. That's the bottom line to it. So I don't know if you have anything further to say before we move to net points.
No, let's move on.
Let's move to net points, which is what this is all about, because, bottom line is you got to subtract those points that you scored or that you gave up from the points that you scored to see where you really stand. And so here we are, ladies and germs, with number 5 with the Ravens. Which we talk about that matchup coming up. 5 against 1 there in net points. Cowboys at 66. Vikings at 79. And third place, Vikings trying to do something.
Kirk Cousins.
What's their running back's name?
Oh, Mr. Cooks?
Everything goes through him.
We call him Mr. Cooks.
49ers coming in second with 130 points, and the Patriots still with the great defense.
Yeah.
I don't know. How would you just, if I called the Patriots great defense great, what would we call their offense?
Efficient.
Efficient?
Yes.
Number 1, get you net points, but with efficient offense and
Yes.
great defense. Okay. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, top 5 turnover differential, top 5 points against, top 5 points for, and put it all together, it's the top 5 in net points. Before we close out this segment, any last words?
No, let's move on.
Let's move on. All right, Benny. So in this section, we're going to go over last week's games and see how we did on our Bias Plus report, matchup, send your picks versus the bias.
Yes, sir.
Plus, let's get started with the Washington team that needs to change their name. Went up against the Vikings. Vikings were home. Bias Plus was 159 favoring the Vikings. We got that one right on the Bias Plus. What'd you think about that game?
I didn't think much about that game. I wanted to see. It's going to become a weekly thing now when the Vikings play teams that we know that they can beat. How Kirk Cousins is going to do. I think he spread the ball around pretty well. Well, Thielen wasn't there, so Diggs got a lot of work. He's kind of getting Kyle Rudolph involved, which he hadn't been doing. But Brandon Cooks is just did I call him Brandon Cooks? Dalvin Cook. I'm sorry.
Cook brothers.
He's just running wild over teams, good teams and bad, and this was a bad one. So, yeah.
We did have a milestone for Adrian Peterson, right?
Yeah, he passed somebody on the all-time.
Yeah, something like that. We had a little milestone for Adrian Peterson. They gave him some love, in Minnesota.
Right. Which they should. Which they should have. He had his best years there, and he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Dwayne Haskins wound up in the game.
Right. Did Keenum get hurt, or they just pulled him?
I think he got hurt.
Okay. And they had Colt McCoy on the sidelines, and they said, you know what? What the heck? We're going to put Haskins in. I don't think that Gruden would have done that if he was still there. I think he would have went with Colt McCoy because he has delusions of still being able to pull out games with that weak lineup he's putting out there. But the new coach, was like, let the kid get his feet wet. And boy, did he get his feet wet.
Listen to this.
He was high and away, man.
Okay.
He's like a pitcher out of control.
Good Morning Football, right?
Right.
Was castigating Dwayne Haskins. Apparently, someone was quoted, and I think it was Adrian Peterson.
Oh, I think I heard this. Go
was
ahead.
Quoted as saying he needs to get his face into the playbook.
Yeah.
Right? He needs to get into the playbook. What the heck is Dwayne Haskins doing that a future Hall of Famer is kind of calling you out like that?
That's a major call out because Michael Vick went years without barely cracking a playbook or looking at any video, and nobody ever threw him under the bus. That's quite an indictment. The funny thing is, when the kid gets in front of a microphone, he says all the right things about, I'm coming in here and I'm doing the best I can and I'm trying to win games and there's no excuses and blah, blah, blah. When Adrian Peterson says something like that, I believe him. I believe that he believes, and he's not the only one, that the young fella is not studying like he should. He's not doing the kind of work behind the scenes and off the field that he needs to do, and that's important.
It's funny that you pulled the name from the past, right?
Yeah.
That name from the past, Michael Vick, ran what, a 4.2 40?
Somewhere around there.
If you don't know the play, but you have the option.
Yeah.
It's harder for, and plus, I don't think he had a running back of the stature of an Adrian Peterson on his team. So it hides a lot of flaws when you look up and you can just take off and get 30 and everybody goes, he's great.
Sure.
Dwayne Haskins is not doing that.
I understand that, but my point is he went years without doing the kind of study that he should have done and admitted it.
Later.
You think nobody on that team knew that?
I'm not saying they didn't know. I'm just saying.
But they didn't.
It's a flaw that you can hide when you're that fast and that athletic.
Hide from who? From us? You can't hide it from your teammates.
Even in your stats.
They know, but they loved him, and he was electric, and they were like, you know what,
he had a certain level of success.
So you're saying his certain level of success kept him from getting called out? They were still losing games.
That's true. But, I mean, long story short, at least he had something to fall back on. Dwayne Haskins has his arm. That's what he has. And
that's a fact.
So he can't fall back on the run. That's a fact.
I'm just talking about locker room culture. That's all.
Okay. All right. I hear you with locker room culture. Now, let's see. Who's up next? Let's see now, Mr. Dickerson. We have Jets, Jaguars coming up here. Now, Sam Darnold, still not quite there. What's the matter?
Nothing. I don't know. Did he get mono again? He didn't look well. He didn't look well out there.
Mono again.
I thought maybe he had a relapse or something.
Well, what do you think about the Jaguars defense? I mean, when you look at the Jaguars defense right now, if we just look at their rankings,
points against, they're 16.
Points against, they're 16. So they're not great, but they're not bad.
No. They're in the middle of the pack. They can do some things.
They can still, create a little havoc. Let's see what happened here. We have where those guys at on here? Why am I not seeing them? The Jets, Jets, Jaguars. Jaguars were 90, had a 92 bias plus score in their favor. So he definitely got that one correct. So
yeah,
I thought
the Jets would put up a little bit more fight. I thought the week before, if I can remember correctly, they played somebody kind of tough. But, I don't know. He's throwing the ball all over the place. Le'Veon Bell can't find any room to run. It's still a mess up there. Still a mess.
Le'Veon was reportedly on the block.
Yes, but nothing happened.
But nothing happened.
Right.
Now, this is the second time Le'Veon has been somewhat thrown out there as being tradable or devalued, because earlier in the season, the quote was, "I wouldn't have paid that much for him."
Right.
Now he's kind of on the block. What's going on with that?
Like, I had to take him, but I wouldn't have paid that much for him. That person said that. And now that person has a lot of influence in what may happen to him. The problem is he got a high price tag. You know what I mean? A guy like him, if somebody was going to move, it would be a contender. You know what I mean? And I think all the contenders are probably pretty set at running back and don't need to take on that headache and that money.
The money especially. I mean,
Right.
there's a few teams I'm sure that who couldn't use a Le'Veon Bell, but that cost is prohibitive. Y'all got him.
And you only make a move like that if he's going to make the difference.
But that's the thing. For a young quarterback like Darnold, to have a Le'Veon Bell to be able to lean on, quick passes, hand him off, because he's a little bit of everything. Is the coach just messing up, not using them correctly or enough or whatever? Or they're just always in a situation where his options are limited?
In my personal opinion, I think they should throw the ball to him more. But as far as rushing is concerned, their offensive line just isn't getting it done. The holes aren't there. He has that patented kind of wade, boom, and burst through the hole, and the hole's just not there for him to burst through. So again, like I said, the only team that would be willing to probably take that on would be a team that's a contender and has everything else in place, but maybe their running back isn't as explosive as a guy like him could be. They have the offensive line that would make him go. They would take somebody like him.
And they have the
but I think everybody
cap space.
Well, no, it's not just one thing. It's a multitude of things.
And that's what I'm saying. That into
before you would even think about bringing somebody like him in and possibly spending that kind of money,
right?
He would have to be the difference between you making the playoffs and going all the way, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And I don't think any team that considers themselves a contender can see him as being a difference maker over and above the running backs that they have and are paying less money.
Well, here's a difference maker. DK Metcalf had 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns. 2. One of them he was standing still. He dropped an over-the-shoulder one that he should have caught. That would have been more impressive to me. I can't remember the other one. I think the other one was a tough catch.
Did. Yeah, I think he did catch one.
He had one tough catch.
He
dropped one tough catch. And he had one on a little hook right at the goal line, which was, a guy that size sitting open in the middle of how'd y'all miss that one? But yes, kudos to your man. He's making himself quite the red zone threat.
Interesting. We had a lot of conversations. I wanted him for the Niners, right? So now we went, instead we got Deebo Samuels, right? And now we've gone and we brought in
Emmanuel Sanders.
Yep. But I still in my mind can imagine having Marquise on one side, DK on the other. That's just speed plus speed and size. It's super speed plus real speed and size. I don't know if you would have needed Emmanuel Sanders. Now you might have went and got him, but let me say this much real quick. Madden moment, right? We got, this is the game that I played for the upcoming season. I'm running the franchise. Dante Pettis, I like him in the slot.
On Madden.
Yeah, I do. I like him in the slot. And you mentioned that he was so good at returning kicks and everything.
Yeah.
So that flexibility, that agility, you know what I mean? And the slot comes in handy. So I kind of like that. Not bad at all. All right.
That's a Madden moment, y'all. That's not a real life moment.
It's right. It's a Madden moment. Shoot, did you see in Philadelphia, they are building an esports arena down there where all the arenas are?
Get out of here.
Dude, you keep messing around. I keep telling you about this esports now.
What? I have nothing bad to say about esports. I think it's great.
Yeah, okay. What you talk about, man? Let's talk about this game. This was the game that was we both kind of knew was going to be an interesting game, and we had some questions about the Bills, and the Eagles.
I didn't have any questions about the Bills till the doggone game was over,
and and we expected that the Bills were going to provide a little more resistance, but then they did. This is what I suspect relative to the Eagles and their run game. Okay. First of all, let me just say that I took a look at the stats, and the Eagles, in terms of the run-pass ratios, they aren't completely out of whack.
Okay.
A little bit more on the passing side, but they do run the ball. So it's not, I don't think that they have quite a run game, but they displayed a run game capability with the Bills. My challenge is, did they do that because of the weather and the conditions? It's like, oh, the weather's so bad.
I think they kind of got coaxed into it because of the weather.
And so we're going to do this, and they ran the ball a little bit more and all of this. And next thing you know, oh, we have talented running backs. Amazing.
It's also amazing when you use them properly at the right time. Use the right guy at the right time. Throw the ball to the one that can catch and do more in open space. Use the one between the tackles that can actually run through the tackles. That helps.
Look. The question is it anything that they're going to
continue?
We
shall see.
That's the big question with those guys.
But they were impressive. I know people aren't used to me saying good things about the Eagles. That run game was very impressive against a good defense. And I was going back and forth on Facebook with one of my ball players, and he's a big Eagles fan, and he's calling people haters every time they say something bad about the Eagles. I said, the haters will tell you that the Bills are no good. I heard it on the radio, on talk shows. Oh, the Bills, they suck. We were supposed to beat them. Not true. Not true. You guys put together a real running game. You called your runs at the right times for the right back, and you were impressive.
Well, first off, I'm biased toward anyone named Miles because that's my father's name and that's my son's middle name. However, Miles Sanders is talented.
Yes, he is.
He is talented.
Yes, he
and
is.
He's breakaway.
Yes, he is.
He's breakaway. So you have, again, almost a thunder lightning type situation. You got your power running back. You got your breakaway running back. And if you deploy that, you can literally kind of control what the defense does, their positioning and all that.
Even a good defense.
Even a good defense, because they're going to have to respect that.
That's right.
As soon as they respect that, boom. Now also, and we'll talk about the upcoming game, D-Jack is on his way back. So that's going to add. We'll see how that works out. I'm not quite sure.
You're going to make me say something bad about the Eagles again.
Well, you'll have your chance in the next segment, the Bias Plus Report, also known as
the Matchup Show.
He wishes he got paid every time he said that.
I know. Like the Hulu commercial.
I know.
Somebody just run in and dump a bucket of money on me.
It's like, this is not Madden. This is not Madden. This is money. Browns, Patriots. Schooled. The Browns got schooled.
What a shame. What a shame. But the Bias Plus was 229. That's pretty huge.
Yeah.
There was pretty much no doubt about this one. But it got pretty ugly. Baker got embarrassed.
He's still moaning and groaning to the media now. He's beefing with the media.
He can't. He's like Donald Trump. He's got to double down. He can't show weakness at this point. He's in too deep.
What a comparison. What an analogy, folks.
He's in too deep.
What an analogy.
It's like, you're stupid. Oh, you think that was stupid? Listen to this.
Chargers, Bears. So I'm thinking about trying to coin the phrase Trubiskying it up because that's what it seems to be. At one point I thought maybe him and Wentz was kind of on the same level. And they're both athletic. They can both run. They both have the capability to throw the ball. I don't know whether the coaching on the Bears side is working well, with Mitch, or if it's Mitch that's not working well with the coaching. You got some questions going on there. There was a big decision at the end of the game with the Bears.
Oh, yeah. There was 42 seconds left in that game. They had the ball, and they were, I'm not going to say on the edge of field goal. They were within range for their kicker. And they had an opportunity to get closer and chose not to. And to me, that goes against everything I've ever seen or believed in as far as finishing off a game with a field goal. The amount of time left, the distance and the ability to get it closer, the ability to actually put it on the hash you wanted or in the middle. I mean, that was all sitting there.
It was pretty much in the middle.
But it was too far. They could have ran 2 more plays. No, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. I'm not going to say it was too far because it was in his range. He has made kicks of that distance.
40-yard field goal.
I
in the
understand
NFL.
that, but he is not Justin Tucker.
Do you have to be Justin Tucker to make a 40-yard field goal in the NFL?
But you have 100% confidence in a Zerline or a Tucker, not in Pinero. You got an opportunity to tack on 3 more yards. Could make a difference.
I listened to the coach, and he talked about a few things. Number one, I don't think he trusts Trubisky in that situation.
To hand the ball off?
Well, first of all, he talked about the run and the pass. So he ruled out the pass right off the bat.
Okay.
As far as the run is concerned, he was concerned, A, you get stuffed and you actually lose yards, or B, you get called for a hold and you lose big yards.
Now you're playing not to lose instead of playing to win.
Well, what you're doing is you're looking at all the possibilities.
What you do have to do.
And he, apparently he looked at them all and he said, I think this guy should be able to make that kick. And had he made the kick, all this would be moot. It would all be moot. But being that, it's the Bears and their kicking history, it's just.
That's why you get closer.
I don't know.
They're kicking history. You're not trying to score a touchdown. You're trying to kick a field goal to win. You don't, even if you make it, why would you give the ball back with 40 seconds left?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if
David Montgomery carried the ball 27 times.
Yeah.
For 135 yards. You couldn't give him 2 more carries? Come on, man. No, I ain't buying it. He got scared. He choked up.
You mentioned last week, fantasy-wise.
Yes.
Montgomery versus Miles Sanders.
Yes.
And you'd have done well either way, wouldn't you?
Yes. They don't throw the ball to Montgomery much. Let me see. Did he have any targets?
Yeah.
But he is a very quick type of guy, quick twitch kind of guy like Sanders, and he has good speed for a running back. I think they should throw it to him more, but what do I know? These guys. 27, 135, he had 5 targets, caught 4 of them, 12 yards. So looks like they're trying to get him integrated. Again, just like the Eagles, this guy's been on their team from jump. He was a high draft pick. And they've been sitting him on the bench and bringing Tariq Cohen in there and throwing the ball to him. Okay, fine. He's a better pass catching back. That's great. But he does nothing between the tackles. He should be a third down back, and Montgomery should be on the field. But maybe the little light went on. 27 carries. I'd say the light went on. Let's see if they continue.
Two things. One, the Bears had the Sterling net point bias plus the in their favor, but only 16.
Yes.
16.
So guess what? Bias plus was wrong, and so was I because I took them too.
You took them too.
And I took them on the strength of this is the week they're going to use Montgomery, and they did, and they still screwed it up at the end. Thank you very much, head coach.
However, we did just talk about the Eagles-Bills game.
Yes.
And I did want to mention, ding, 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 ding,
We both
Eagles, bias plus buster of the week.
Oh, good. Good for them.
I thought maybe if the Dolphins
What was the number?
got past the Steelers. Well, the bias plus score was 46. The Eagles won by 18. So that total differential was 64, and that was the biggest difference for a team.
It was a good win.
That had an unfavorable bias.
It was a good win.
So bias buster, congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. Bias plus buster of week 8 in the NFL 2019. All right, who's up next for us? Well, how did you feel? Your boys up against the Lions. The Lions had the bias plus score of 96 in their favor. I think we both got that. You didn't go against the bias on that.
No, as a fan, I was hoping and praying and thinking that this was a game that they could possibly win. I thought if Daniel Jones threw the ball well, which he actually did, that they would have an opportunity and, you know, have a big game by Barkley. I can't remember Barkley's numbers, but they can't cover. They can't cover. Stafford can throw. Galladay can catch. Jones can catch. Even Hockenson had a couple catches. If you can't cover, you can't stop anybody. What the heck, man?
Let me say, congratulations
to
Saquon the Gift Barkley, who won the Angry Run of the Week on Good Morning Football.
Good. I saw that run. It was a good run.
It was a good run. Yeah, he definitely beasted the guy a little bit. So congratulations to Saquon the Gift Barkley. All right, we call him that, and that's our name for him. Nobody else can use. Yeah, everybody could use it, but you know, nobody seems to be understanding how important that name is.
Quadzilla.
I know that's a corny name.
He likes it.
No, he's a nice guy. He's gonna, you know, he's going along just to get along. What can I tell you? Well, speaking of going along just to get along, your boy Jameis versus the team that you think is the most boring team out there. So you had, where are we at? The Titans and the Buccaneers. Titans, bias plus in their favor, 27.
Which wasn't much.
And they got it done.
Jameis Winston.
Uh-oh. Look like you're reading. Did you write something down there? On
Fantasy quarterback extraordinaire, especially if you play in a league that doesn't give minus points for turnover. Because if you do, that kind of levels him off. He threw for 301 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's good.
300-yard day.
That's a great day.
300
He even ran the ball sometimes out of necessity for like 53 yards. That's a great day. That's Lamar Jackson day.
Mm-hmm.
Except he didn't win. He turned the ball over 4 times.
That'll do it. 4 turnovers,
4 times. 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles.
Wow. The next game is a game where my wife actually got involved.
Uh-oh.
And she said...
And it wasn't the Eagles?
No, it wasn't this game. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't this game. We'll go forward. No, it wasn't the Eagles. It wasn't the Eagles, believe it or not. But the Broncos And the Colts getting it on. Oh, yeah, I know what I wanted to say about this one. First, you go ahead and say, because I want to talk about the after-game interview that Flacco gave.
Okay. Okay, you can add that. So the Colts played well. Good game all around. I would have liked to have seen a more dynamic game from Jacoby Brissett. He made me a believer the week before, but he is a real game manager, and the running game did just enough. He threw the ball just enough. The defense was solid, and they got the job done. Not a whole lot to say about that, but it's a good win for the Colts. They're rolling. You know.
All right, so Flacco. Last week, I think I mentioned that he looked like a statue back there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be a statue, you got to be at least decisive. You got to get the ball out of your hands. You got to read. Your reads have to be quick.
Right.
You know? And so now he's standing at the podium complaining about whether or not they should have gone for it or not gone for it.
Right.
As if the coach would have any confidence in him getting it. You know, it's like, dude, you look like a bad statue out there. You know, the odds are now probably rising that the rookie, what's his name again, for the Broncos?
Oh, Drew Lock.
Drew Lock.
Yeah, they're going to go with the other guy, though. They got another guy.
They sure do.
Because Lock's coming off an injury.
Okay.
So
Flacco's about to sit down anyway?
He's not physically ready. Yes, Flacco has an injury.
Oh, that's right. He's got
I didn't even get him 2 quotes.
Yeah. He's got a Jalen Ramsey injury after standing up there running off at the mouth. And I kept thinking, is he trying to get traded before the deadline?
Did you have a problem with what he said, or is your problem that he said anything at all?
That's the first thing, that he said anything at all.
Okay.
That's the first thing. Because, and I think, to be quite honest with you, I think Primetime basically said, dude, you need, before you start talking, you need to start playing. You got to play better.
Yeah, that's prime all the way.
Talk at your level of play, that doesn't work. That's not happening.
Yeah, that's
so. I mean, but Colts 33-point bias plus score in their favor. We did get both that one also. Am I correct?
Yes.
You didn't go haywire on that.
No.
All right. Well, this was one that I was a little bit afraid of because, again, we know that the Panthers coming in. I questioned Luke Kuechly, the speed.
You are the scariest dude.
We even text each other about Kuechly when he got the interception or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, oh, Kuechly. It's like, you're like, yeah, I told you he covers. And I was like, yeah, we'll see what happens. And Christian McCaffrey did get off a little bit, but the run game for the Niners is vicious right now. The Shanahan is in the lab big time.
Yes, he is.
He's in the lab.
Yes,
We're talking about my San Francisco 49ers, my beloved. He's in there mixing up some stuff, man. Now, there is still a question about whether or not, if need be, our quarterback, Jimmy G, can carry the team if they're in a situation where they have to. I saw a stat that I thought was very interesting, and I'm going to screw the stat up. But if I'm going to be pretty close. On third down, he is 16 for 16 when throwing to Kittles on third down.
Okay.
So Jimmy G knows where to go. That's a turnover down. If you can be 100% on turnover down to some one particular receiver, that ought to keep you in good standing for the most part.
Yes.
So Still undefeated. Getting ready to play. We'll talk about the bias plus coming up for who they're getting ready to play. The Niners had a 55 bias plus score in their favor over the Panthers, and we both stuck that landing also. So
yeah, Kittle to me is without a doubt, Travis Kelce fans, without a doubt, the #1 tight end in the NFL right now. Okay. He hasn't been around as long as Kelce, so, you know, this kind of falls into the who's better, McCaffrey or Alvin Kamara thing. But right now, Kelce's the best. The guys.
Kelce. Kittles.
Them K's got me. Kittle is without a doubt the best. He can't be covered. He can't be covered with a linebacker. Forget about it. And you want to devote a safety to him? Okay, they'll run him up the seam. Now you got size on you.
Hey, look, I love him. I love him. And again, in the game, I use him. But, you know, when you look at the diversity of receiver talent now, okay, when you look across at your potential 4 wideouts, so you could go with Kittle and 4 wideouts. You got Marquise on one end, Deebo Samuels, who did I just say? Pettis
and
Sanders.
Right.
That's a very solid group of receivers.
Now, I'm going to get on you now because I can't remember. I don't know if I have a rant or not, so this is going to be my rant. Stop it, man.
Stop what?
Nobody talks more good stuff about your football team last year and this year than me. I am more confident and have been more confident in your team since preseason than you have. I told you what you needed, and I told you why you needed it. Why do you keep on talking about Dante Pettis? Look up his numbers. He's a bench dude. Marquise Goodwin, find a track team to get on. Deebo Samuels, gadget player. The only real receiver you have is Emmanuel Sanders. Now, besides Kittle. Now, y'all can make that work. It can be done. But that's more pressure on Jimmy G. One of those other guys has got to step up because I don't see them spending money for another receiver. Okay? But the only real wideout on that team that can actually run every route and catch balls is Emmanuel Sanders.
Okay, I mean,
I'm done.
Okay, all right. And it's really funny that the way you put that because you're like, you know, I'm like you're so much more positive than I am.
I am.
And I just said,
but
I think we had 4 serviceable receivers.
But you don't.
And you're saying I don't.
That's not a true statement.
Well, that's an opinion.
I love your defense. You got the greatest defense.
That's an opinion.
Besides the Patriots, your defense is top notch.
We shall
from the front to the back.
That's an opinion. All right, we're going to leave
What, that your defense is top notch?
No, that my receivers are serviceable.
Your defense is top notch. I believe in Jimmy G, even though he hasn't put up big numbers.
My receivers are serviceable.
Your running game, is it serviceable?
That's what I said. That's all I said.
Okay, evidently you haven't. Okay. You watch the games, right?
Yeah.
How many catches did Goodwin have last game?
See, when you ask questions like that, you think that
how many
makes
does Pettis have?
It doesn't make any. When you're running the ball the way we run the ball, it's okay. You know, you can say he didn't have a catch. He didn't have a catch.
That's not going to get it done. That's my
200
point.
yards rushing.
So all of a sudden he's going to throw. What's going to happen when they get in a game where he has to throw the ball 30 times?
That was the question.
You better hope that game never comes.
I said I think we have serviceable
hope that game never comes.
We shall see. Let's move on to the Raiders and the Texans. And this is the game that my wife was talking about.
I hope to God that game doesn't come and you take that L because I'm going to feel bad. What did she have to say about this game? I'm very interested.
She said that we needed to make sure that we talked about that play with Deshaun Watson spinning out, getting kicked in the face, and making that pass, that touchdown. He looked like a boxer in the game.
For anybody who doubted, oh, he ain't really get kicked in the face. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did.
And you know what happens? If you've ever been kicked in the face, and I have, you lose that eye for a minute. Not for a couple seconds. Like, he rolled, got kicked, kept rolling, was like this, adjusted his helmet and looked for blood, and then threw a touchdown. Come on, man.
Because they're like, instead we're talking about all the different ways that people throw touchdowns. They're always talking about, from the Chiefs, Mahomes. I wanted to call him McMahon so bad for some reason. It was hurting me. I didn't want to say it because I knew it was going to be wrong.
You knew it was wrm. I get
Mahomes, like throwing left-handed. But they're like, Deshaun just threw that with one eye.
Yeah. A tough throw. And let's give Mr. Fells some credit. That was a tough catch. He was covered. But yes, she's right. That was we've seen a lot of things we have never seen before with the left-hand passes, although Brett Favre's done a few great things like that. But left hands and no looks and all, we can put that one on the list of the one-eyed pass for a touchdown. And it was for a touchdown, too. Add that in.
It wasn't just a completion.
That makes it even better.
It was for a touchdown. It wasn't just for a completion.
If I'm rolling and you kick me in my eye, I'm going down. I'm like, oh. Give him a sack. Medic.
Absolutely. All right. Dolphins Steelers. Again, Dolphins came out. It's funny. I'm listening to what's his name, Booger McFarlane, right?
Yeah, I like Booger.
And Booger's doing his best to keep a positive spin on, So he's like,
I like that.
The Dolphins are not giving up. They're not just tanking. They're actually going, and you could see that,
Right.
But then certain things would happen, and you'd be like, "What's the fix then? Did they just get?" So on the touchdown, the long touchdown that the Steelers scored that to close out with the first half,
yes,
where they blitzed, like all out blitzed.
Yeah, on a third and really long
and completely left their butts out.
Yeah, you do that in flag football. You don't do that in the NFL.
All you do is it's just one play.
Right.
You just make sure that it doesn't get into the end zone. That's your number one concern. Yeah. And I could see sending one or even two, but you got to have enough people back there to make sure that if someone gets loose, that's all they do, that they don't get into the end zone. And you just wonders, like, what were they thinking, Now, I talked about Fitztragic just tossing up balls in the second half. Like, it really, and it's like, if you're going to throw that ball, it's funny. He actually did overthrow it. It's like, but since the guy was covered over top, he just threw it to the other team. Yeah. So, I don't know. He seems to be really positive. Fitzmagic really seems to be, I should call him Fitzpatrick. Is his name.
This
really positive about the situation. It's like, he says, I was made for this. Like, he's really ready to.
You see, he's got a perpetual smile on his face.
Yeah.
He chews gum through the whole game. He's just a happy-go-lucky guy, man. He knows his limitations, and he knows his situation. And anytime we talk about tanking, people think about my 76ers, and I think I said the same thing about them. It's not like the coach is getting the team together before the game and saying, so look, we got to get this high draft pick. So we ain't really trying to win this game. He's not doing that. But what happens is you sell off your really good players.
They were having fire sales.
Right. And then you bring in second-tier players. But sometimes when you do that, those second-tier players do the smart thing and try to get themselves on tape doing really good things because they don't know where their future is going to be. They at least want to stay there and be a viable part of the team once it becomes good, or they want to get picked up by a better team and continue their career there. So they're trying to play well and they're trying to win. It's management that actually tanks, not the team itself. Management tanks by putting them in position to not have a Minka Fitzpatrick and not have Laramie Tunsil, and they just traded away Kenyon Drake, who was their best running back. But it opened up things for the new kid Walton, who looks like he's a pretty good running back. He's not stellar, but he's a viable back. You know,
There are a few backs that they got down to second, third to the third string that played pretty well.
yeah, they're going to be okay.
Saints,
But you know,
for example.
it's going to be tough for them to win games.
Well, they got one coming up. We'll talk about that in the next segment for the Bias Plus report.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure who I'm rooting for in that one.
Did we talk about the Rams and the Bengals?
Not yet.
What do you got to say about these guys?
Joe Mixon, I think, got dropped in 2 zillion fantasy teams across the world, and then came out and had a good game.
How big is he?
But they still
I always
lost.
question his size. I always think of him as a small guy. Then when I look at him, he's like,
No, he's not
small.
He's in the 6 foot.
He's over
200
6
range.
foot. About 6 foot
I
range.
believe so.
Okay.
Okay. I could check that, but yeah, he. But then again, we're talking about a team, the Rams. Oh, and check this out. How about the Rams having a fire sale on both their corners that they just went out? 2 years ago? These 2 corners helped them get to the Super Bowl, and now they're gone. Akeem Talib and Peters out of here, like unceremoniously too. They're making a lot of changes, man. Now, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody that I don't really know anything about, but I don't think those 2 were the greatest locker room guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They had a lot of mouth and a lot of
bravado about Akeem Talib was always getting in fights.
Yeah, he was always like that, yeah.
Who was that he was fighting with over the chain? Wasn't that, was that Crabtree?
He snatched Crabtree's chain off.
Yeah.
Does that.
You got nothing better to do during the game.
But anyway, yeah, Rams had a little bit too much for Cincinnati. They're doomed. They're benching Andy Dalton, who hasn't done anything wrong, and bringing in some dude.
First name song, last name dude.
Ryan Finley, I think is his name.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. I don't know how I remember that.
All righty. A couple games that did we talk about Green Bay, KC?
No.
How did we not talk about
That's a big game.
Green Bay and KC? This is where I was saying, as far as KC is concerned, that the talent around the team, the skilled players, the speed, and, especially when you got both Tyreek Hill and what's the other guy named? Herndon or no, the other guy. He's real fast.
A receiver?
He does play receiver. He does a little
McCole Hardman.
Right.
Who they used very well and hadn't used for 3 weeks previous.
When you got like 2 guys that much, going on, and then you got Kelsey in the middle.
Yeah, but Sammy Watkins came back
and
he got a little discombobulated.
Then you got LaShawn and I mean, they look like they now. Of course, what was it? That was the.
It was only a 5-point bias plus.
That's what I was looking for.
And that's the one that the bias got wrong, and I did pick the Packers. So
you picked the Packers. You got that one. Yeah, we missed the bias. And 5 is nothing.
I know. I can't be real proud of that.
5 is nothing. And then the backup quarterback for the Chiefs, Yeah. And then Aaron is Aaron.
Yeah, I was still afraid. I took the Packers probably because Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and he's on a hot streak of doing some more tremendous things. On top of the fact that even though Matt Moore has proven himself to be a really good backup, that Andy seemed to be getting away from the run game just a little bit and seems to have forgotten that to beat the Packers, you run on the Packers. Their strength is in the secondary. But he went with his speed guys, and he tried to get the ball to Sammy Watkins, and it just come back. And, yeah, he kind of played into their hands as far as I'm concerned. But Tough one for the Chiefs.
I think we've covered everybody, haven't we?
I think we got everybody.
I think we got everybody. We wanted to mention.
Did we talk about Seahawks Falcons? Wasn't a whole lot to talk about. The Falcons are in really bad shape. They'll be selling off everybody too. So you can call it a tank or not a tank or whatever you want to call it. And Russell Wilson still looking great. He's getting Seahawks going to be a problem in the playoffs.
Sleeper.
Whoever gets them in the playoffs, I'm telling you.
Is there a more competitive division than the NFC West? I mean, other than the Cardinals, who, you got the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Niners right now, all looking like they want to do something. I mean, and you just look, we just went down the net point bias, or the net points rather, for those three teams. Niners are second, right?
Yeah.
Now the Rams are eighth, and the Seahawks are 12th. So the Seahawks are plus 12, the Rams are plus 40, the Niners are plus 130.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like any one of those teams, is going to be there.
Absolutely.
Can you get three teams from one division?
Into the playoffs?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
they make it to. First of all division winners make it, so it's tough. It's going to be tough to get three in, but I guess it's mathematically possible. It would take one division to only have one team, the division winner, make it. And I think that's happened before, now that I think about it.
Really?
I think that's mathematically possible. It doesn't usually happen. And I don't think it'll happen this year either because the NFC North has the Packers and the Vikings both looking like contenders. One of them will win the division, and one of them will probably get a wild card. I think there's only 2 wild cards, so.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll have to wait till the smoke clears, but that'll be interesting.
All right. Well, that wraps up the review portion of Ben and Barry on football, where we went back and looked at Week 8. Now we're about to look at the Bias Plus report, also known as
the Matchup Show.
All right. So Ben, we're going to start off with the Cardinals hosting my beloved 49ers. 49ers are 7-0, are coming in with a net point bias of 183 and a turnover differential bias of 1, giving them a bias plus score of 184 going into this game. What do you think?
I like the Niners. I like them a lot. I like to see Jimmy G throw the ball a little bit more. Not necessarily out of not out of necessity is what I'm trying to say, but because they want to, and because they can fit it into the game plan. Other than that, I don't think they'll have any trouble at all with the Cardinals.
Okay. All right.
This might be a tough one for Kyler Murray.
Again, I played this game. I just try to stick to what we do well, which is run the ball. I had some difficulty running up to a certain point, but that's why you keep running the ball. And then after a while, you start to find your favorable matchups. Defense starts to wear down, and especially when you got 2 good running backs. Johnson is out for the Cardinals.
Yes,
David Johnson, running back.
Edmonds is also out. They traded
out
for Kenyon Drake.
Right. So he'll probably actually get some time.
Oh, he will.
Yeah, he'll get some time. The interesting thing, last week we talked about, I was saying that still trying to identify what be able to look at the Cardinals and say that I see that air raid. I see them operating in that air raid. But they got into a situation where it was like, we need a yard. and they just lined up and tried to run some power, but it didn't work though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was surprised. I'm thinking, oh, they're going to spread the ball out. They're going to do this. They're going to do something funky and something. Nope, they just went on and.
I did see a design rollout throw back to the other side of the field play.
Okay.
It was open grass. That's what they're supposed to be trying to do. They sure enough did it. They created that open area, sent somebody there, showed deception, and went right back
and
to
went
it.
to the open grass.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, Niners. Is that the biggest bias plus of the weekend?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yes, that is. One was it 84? Yeah, that's the biggest. That's the biggest of the weekend. The next one that we're talking about is the smallest of the weekend coming up here. No, it's not, eh? Oh, yeah, I'll skip one. Okay. Texans visiting the Jaguars. Texans have a 14 net point bias in their favor. The Jaguars have the turnover differential bias. Texans are 5-3, Jaguars are 4-4, but the Texans have the bias plus score in their favor at a minuscule 13, which going into game 9 is you average that out, it's a little over 1 point a game if you were looking at it from that perspective.
Very small bias plus. The Jaguars. Oh, by the way, this game is in England. Fantasy note: get your lineups done Saturday because this game actually will begin at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So teams lock 5 minutes before they play. So most of the time, half your teams are going to be locked at 1, but this game is going to lock at 9:30. So if you have players that you want to start that are on either of these two teams, make sure you get them in your starting lineup Saturday night, unless you get up really early on Sunday morning.
Really early.
Right. And
if we're talking kickoff 9:30 Eastern.
Right. And if you have them in a starting position and they shouldn't be there, make sure you get them out and get the person you want in there that doesn't play until 1 o'clock, or they're going to be locked in.
All right.
And as far as the game is concerned, okay, here we go. Right off the bat, I'm going to take the Jaguars. I'm going to go against the bias plus. I'm going to go against Deshaun. And here's why.
Woo.
I like the Jaguars defense. I like it a lot. I also do not like the Texans secondary. I don't like them at all. I believe that the Jaguar receivers are going to have not necessarily a field day, but this is going to be a real interesting game. This is probably going to be a bit of a shootout, which I'm sure the people in England will like. But I don't think Deshaun's going to be able to prevail in this one.
So you're saying that the Minshew magic travels across the –
Yes. Let's remember the Jaguars have been to England several times.
That's actually, they call that their second home.
Yes.
So they
know where to go, where to eat, where they're staying.
Where they get those.
They don't have to run around and
fish and chips, eh?
Right. They don't have to do all that. They know exactly what's going on once they get there.
So you're going to go against the bias, eh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Who do we have up next? I believe that this one is going to be very interesting. When the Bears come into Philadelphia with a bias, net point bias in their favor of 3, but a turnover bias of 5. So that's a bias plus score of 8 favoring the Bears.
Another very small bias plus.
Is that the smallest? Oh, nope. There's one as equally as small.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a minute.
That's really small. And I should be swayed by their higher bias turnover differential, but I'm not going to. I'm going to pick the Eagles in this one. I think that, and I'm going to give Doug Peterson the benefit of the doubt that they've got something worked out with this running game. The Bears can be run on. Up until last week, we didn't know the Bills could be run on like they were. Okay? If they didn't learn anything from last week's game, shame on them, because everybody's running on the Bears. Let's get it done, Eagles. How about it?
All right. There you go.
Not to mention, Trubisky is a mess, and the head coach gave him a vote of confidence the other day. Why? Why? Chase Daniel is over there going, man. He's got to be like,
well, Matt Nagy. Questions about his coaching. All right, moving on. Vikings going in to see the Chiefs. The Vikings have a net point bias of 34. The turnover differential is actually tied. So the Vikings bias plus score favoring them is 34 over the Chiefs. And we should see, do we expect to see the return of
Mr. Mahomes?
Mr. Mahomes?
I don't know. I'll real quick check on that. But I tell you what, whether he comes back or not, I'm taking the Vikings.
Taking the Vikings.
I'm taking the Vikings.
Dalvin Cook is a bit much.
Yep.
Big game.
And they know how to use him. And Mr. Thielen should be back. Mr. Diggs is hot. Even Kyle Rudolph is getting a couple passes a game. Their offense is running on all cylinders right now. It's not a big trip to go into KC. I don't think they'll be swayed by the crowd. I'm really liking the Vikings right now, and I think that the Chiefs are limping a little bit, just a little bit.
Well, the Chiefs, they get the Vikings on points 4. They come in second where the Vikings are 7th. They're 17th on defense, however, where the Vikings are 6th. So the question, as always, with Kirk Cousins is, can you get pressure on him?
Right.
And that's one thing that the Chiefs usually were able to kind of do. And I don't know about their back end, but they were getting pressure for a bit. So that's kind of
they've had a good number of sacks over the last couple of games.
That's the question. That's the question. But I understand, I can definitely, see your point.
He's doubtful, but he did have a limited practice today. So if he gets another limited practice tomorrow and a full practice Friday, he'll probably start. But right now he's carrying a doubtful tag. So we'll have to wait and see. Limited practice, though, is actually good.
I saw him last week when they were showing him in practice. And
he looked like he was fine, didn't he?
No.
He was hip-hopping around, yeah.
But he looked a little stiff-legged. He didn't look completely fluid.
He was being
but he's got a funny run anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
He does have a kind of a strange run, so I'm not quite sure about him relative to that. But we shall see. We shall see. All right. Up next, here we go. The Washington team that needs to change their name is going up. We just finished talking about the Bills.
They had a protest at the game last week too, I think.
Did they?
Yeah, it wasn't a ton of people, but there was a relatively large group protesting in the parking lot.
Okay.
About the name of the team. So
okay, good.
Interesting.
Maybe we need to invite them on the show or something. Let them come in or let them teach them about our little hashtag.
It's one of those in case you forgot.
Yeah. Yeah. My indigenous relatives. Bias plus score 110 favors the Bills.
They're at home. They need to bounce back. They can pretend it's the Eagles since it's the same division. Smack these guys in the mouth. Yeah, take the Bills.
All right, he's sticking with the bias plus in this particular case.
Yep.
Ladies and germs, we move on to the Colts at the Steelers. All right. This was one of the stranger combinations of net point situations
Okay.
that we have. And actually, to be quite honest with you, I don't remember ever having this situation.
Oh, wow. This just validates my pick. Go ahead.
The Colts.
I didn't even notice it.
You didn't notice it.
I didn't even notice till just now.
The Colts come in with a net point bias in their favor of 2 net points. All right, so
In the favor of the Colts.
in favor of the Colts, right, over the Steelers. The Steelers have a turnover differential bias of 10 in their favor.
Probably the biggest turnover bias we've seen.
Okay. Well, no,
I don't remember anybody having a turnover bias of 10.
Well, we actually have
Another one. Okay, I see that.
Go down the
Okay,
list
well,
there.
it's the
But
largest.
long story short, Steelers come up with a bias plus score in their favor of 8 over the Colts.
Okay.
Now, let's just look real quick because we know, again, 5 of those turnovers that the Steelers had against my Niners, so skewed it just a little bit. But the Colts are 7th in net points. The Steelers are 17th.
Mm-hmm.
But the Colts, where are their points for? 19th in points
And the
for
Steelers are
23rd.
Mm-hmm.
Not a big difference. Points against ranking, Colts are 9th. Steelers are 8th.
Okay, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed in them being close in one stat. I'm not impressed with that win over Miami. And I'm not going to be swayed by that big turnover differential margin. I'm going to go against this. I'm going to go against this trick, this. I don't even know what to call it. You're trying to. It's smoke and mirrors. I'm taking the Colts, man. It's a trap game.
Jacoby Brissett,
game manager,
in his own end zone last week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
excuse me.
Jacoby Brissett in his own end zone does a Deshaun Watson practically. Breaks a talent, rolls out, breaks a tackle, rolls out, hits his man for a crucial first down.
Yep.
You know, the man's getting it done. He's getting it done. However,
Mm-hmm.
the Steelers and the Dolphins, Steelers quarterback, young man just came back from a concussion.
Mason
Rudolph, out of the box, got booed, which you don't hear that too often in, you know.
They were playing the Dolphins.
Well, yeah.
Them fans is like, yo, I don't care.
Fans did not like that at all.
Playing the Dolphins. Come on, man.
But once he started completing passes, once he completed 1 or 2, he looked like he took that step. It was a big step for him. And then he started looking more confident. He was completing passes. Yeah. And he started getting it done. Some of his passes was nice. Juju showed up, mossed some people, some big catches and things of that nature.
That wasn't you got mossed.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, this game could be, a little bit better game than what you might think. I actually, I go with the numbers. Steelers turnover differential. Can they get it done? Game manager, Brissett don't give up a lot of turnovers.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Everything in my mind is in the Colts' favor. They don't turn the ball over. They play solid D. Nah.
All right.
Can't fool me on this one. I'm going with the Colts.
Going with the Colts. All right.
Oh, this next one is
defecting.
Geez, this is tough.
The Basement Bowl.
This is tough.
All right. Jets at Dolphins, bias plus score 62 favors the Jets. Jets, baby.
Oh, am I supposed to say something now?
Well, let me say this much. This is both teams are in the negative relative to net points.
Yes.
So you got one negative and another negative. So your differential is completely underwater. Same with your turnover differential bias. Both of them are in the negative. However, the Jets in both cases are simply less negative, giving them a bias plus score of 62 in their favor. Yes.
Oh, God.
Less negative.
In a game like this, my first inclination is to just go with the bias plus and be done with it. But then I think about how the Dolphins actually gave the Steelers a game for at least the first half.
I smell confusion.
And how the Jets looked completely horrible last week. And the Dolphins are at home. And I say to myself, you know what?
So
I'm going to go with the bias plus. I'm taking the Jets. I can't.
Again, with some of the decisions and with Fitz magic versus Fitz tragic, he's almost like who's the Batman guy with the two-face, right?
Two-face.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to remember that I've seen him when he was with the Buccaneers come out and play 3 stellar games, and then the fourth one he stinks it up. But lately he's been losing games because he's just been under fire, and they're just not talented enough to make anything happen for the poor guy. I mean, TJ Watt was all over him. Matter of fact, that was the big change of the game. Strip sack. He got the trifecta.
Yeah, he had a good game.
That's
he had a
crazy.
good game, but
when you're under that kind of pressure, you're going to crumble. I don't care who you are.
Okay, you're giving them the pressure excuse. All right, go ahead.
Excuse?
I see. I saw him toss some stuff up that looked
he
like
was under pressure.
Yeah, he had his eyes closed. I don't know if he knew he was under pressure or not. Titans at Panthers. Bias plus score 21 favors the Titans. You're the most exciting team for you to watch. When you turn off all the other stuff.
They're far more exciting.
4-4 Titans against the 4-3 Panthers. Titans have a 18 net point bias in their favor, a turnover differential bias of 3. 21 is the bias plus score favoring the Titans. And Ben, sometimes boring is good.
Sometimes boring is good. But the Panthers have Christian McCaffrey. He got 117 yards rushing against the Niners defense.
Most of it on like one play, though.
He had one big one.
He had one big one.
He had a couple catches, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did.
And then they just loaded up the box, took him away, and made Kyle Allen try to beat him, and he couldn't. So that being said, I'm going with the Panthers. They're at home. They took a little spanking last week. They need a bounce back. I think they got enough defense that they can handle the Titans. Their running game is not like that. Derrick Henry is not going to give you that flash that the Niners gave you with Tevin Coleman. Yeah, got to go with the Panthers. Going against the bias.
Going against the bias.
Yep.
All right, man. I see you. Revolutionary. How about the bias plus report? NFL Week 9, 2019. Buccaneers going into.
You say that like it's what a game.
What a game. Jameis. Seahawks. Now, to be quite honest with you, it's not a super big bias.
No, it isn't.
28 net point bias for the Seahawks, a 12 turnover differential bias, giving them their bias plus score of 40, favoring the Seahawks. So it's not an overwhelming. However, neither has Jameis been overwhelming, except for some.
He would be overwhelming if he didn't give the ball to the other doggone team. I tell you what, he's going to throw for 300 again. He'll probably throw for at least 2 touchdowns, and they will lose again. Okay, Russell Wilson is going to dissect their defense, and he'll probably throw for 2, run for 1, and I'll give Chris Carson 1, and that'll be all she wrote.
All right. So he's going with the bias on that one. Up next.
Good game.
Lions at Raiders. Bias plus score 41 favors the Lions.
Yes.
The put upon Lions. The team that should have some type of attitude.
Well, they got gypped out of a win. They've had some bad calls go against them in a couple of games. They got one game they actually would have won if things had gone their way a little bit. But, hey, that happens, you know.
Both teams are in the negative in terms of net points. So that differential of 35 that the Lions have in their favor, it's all, again, on the lower side of zero there.
Right. But the Raiders are home. They haven't been home for a while.
Yeah, they had a really long stretch.
Yeah, they said something about they didn't want them on the field while they still had the baseball diamond on there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so now they've had time to like cover that up with grass and stuff. Not that they have the best. Well, they actually do still have a good fan following, so I shouldn't say that. But I think this is a game the Raiders can win. I think this is a game that the Raiders can win. Yep, I said it. The Raiders have good skill position people on offense. They got a really good rookie running back, Josh Jacobs. Ty Williams, who came over from San Diego, is a big-time receiver with speed and pretty good size. Waller, the tight end, is magnificent. They're going to be tested. Stafford's going to throw the ball. They've got good wideouts too, but their running game is lacking. And with a running game that's lacking, it's going to be tough for them to really run with the Raiders. Should be high scoring, should be a fun game to watch, but I think the Raiders are going to pull this one out. Okay,
going against the bias again.
Again.
Oh, man, somebody's
I think that's it.
Somebody's percentage is going to change.
Yeah, I went against them like 4 times. Right?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be kicking myself next week. Maybe.
Browns at Broncos. Bias plus score of 29 favors. I just talked about them like a dog, too. The Broncos. But Flacco, you said he's not playing.
Flacco's out. He might be out for the rest of the season. They're talking about 5 or 6 weeks. I don't see any reason to bring him back.
Next year, either.
No. Now, I remembered the name of the guy that's taken over for Andy Dalton in Cincinnati, but for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of the guy that's taken over for Joe Flacco. I only know that they want to play Drew Lock really bad, but because of his injury and because he's still either rehabbing or just isn't caught up enough with the offense because of lack of reps, because of his injury, they can't get him in there. So they're going to bring out some dude. You just call him some dude. And guess what? I'm picking the Broncos. Something just don't smell right in Cleveland.
Wait a minute. So you're going with the bias?
I'm going with the bias.
Going with the bias. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So that makes it okay because I'm going with the bias. That's Flacco's bias. We don't know nothing about this dude. I gotta look. I'm gonna look him up. I have no clue who he is.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know where he came from.
But the Browns,
something
for some reason, something going on with the Browns. Baker's spending too much time being mad at the press. And okay, all right. I mean, I can't.
I don't know, but the press thing is going to go on. He can't stop now. So he's going to keep going on. Beckham is going to keep doing things like get goat shoes and give them to Brady and, talk about not getting the ball. He's not getting targets. Whose fault is that? Could be the coach's fault or the offensive coordinator's fault. I think the head coach calls the plays. Could be Beckham's fault. Maybe he's not, I hate to say this about an NFL player, but maybe he's not giving 100% on every play. Maybe it's Baker's fault. Baker just can't find it. I don't understand what's going on, but this guy went from a target magnet when he was with the Giants to like being a secondary guy.
Well, that's one of the they talked about that challenge early on. When you got that much talent, you know, and you know, I've heard basically people say, you know, you can't focus on getting the ball to one. You got to get the ball to the open guy. You know,
You can't focus on it, but you should be able to do it when you want to. You should be able to manufacture plays that fit a guy's skill set and get him open and get the ball to him.
well, that might be next year, but it's not going to be this year where they figure that out. So I don't quite think they're.
They have too much talent to be trying to figure it out.
They've already got coaching changes going on, right?
Who, the Browns?
Yeah. Do they have any coaching? They just changed to the new coach, right?
Oh, this is his first year as a head coach.
He's got to figure all of that out. That's a lot.
Now you're making excuses.
He already tried to use him like Taysom Hill. That didn't work. You said that wasn't good.
That wasn't good.
So, you know, and they have a good running back. Now Chubb gave up the ball last week a little bit.
Yeah, he wasn't in rhythm. Their whole game plan was off.
Again, run game, young quarterback. Nothing helps a young quarterback like a good run game.
You know that. I know that. And everybody else in the NFL knows that. But you can't tell Freddie Kitchens anything because he thinks he knows better. Him and Baker Mayfield are made for each other.
All right. Who's up next? Packers. Chargers. Bias plus score 62 favors the Packers. Now, did you fall and bump your head or what? It was just going to be a long discussion. Because I know you ain't happy about the Chargers. You said you don't know what's going on with them guys.
Some dude's name is Brett Rippon.
Brett's going to start for the Broncos?
Yes.
Oh, it's a lock. Lock it in. Breck.
They wish it was a lock. True lock. They wish. But anyway, where are we at? I'm sorry. I digress. Packers, Chargers?
Chargers.
Ah.
Yeah.
Boy, Chargers need a win, man. They're 3-5.
That's a hard one. Look at you trying to manufacture some skepticism.
Listen,
trying to manufacture some intrigue over there.
Intrigue? Every game, I'm not going to say intrigue, but let's face it. You'd be hard-pressed to find another team that has underachieved as far as what was expected from them at the beginning of the season than the Chargers. Their coach has these looks on his face during the game like, what? Like, he can't even believe it. Melvin Gordon holds out. Okay, no problem. Eckler's getting off. Eckler had a great season so far. Okay? You got Keenan Allen, a premier receiver. You got Mike Williams, who's a very more than capable backup. You lost your tight end, but he's back now. And he's good. What is going on? I think they lost a few people to injury on defense. They traded away Eric Weddle. That might have been a big mistake. And here we go. They can't win again. They're 3-5. This is horrible. That being said, the Packers will go into L.A., enjoy the good weather, and put the smack down on the Chargers, and that'll be the end of that. They cannot. I don't think they can compete. I really don't.
All right. You're sticking with the bias in that case, sir?
Unless Melvin Gordon gets his act together and really runs the ball.
You know, he'll have at least 2 or 3 games under his belt now, so it's not like, you know, he did, you know, have that.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't look rusty per se. He just, I don't know, he just wasn't sharp. Maybe it was rust. We'll see.
Highest bias plus score of the weekend. Patriots at Ravens. Bias plus score 146 favors the Patriots. Patriots had a net point bias of 131 and a turnover differential bias of 15, giving them the 146 bias plus score. And this, Mr. Dickerson, is my intriguing game of the weekend.
Are we intrigued?
Well, you know, you got a
yeah, talk to me.
you got a Ravens team now that's starting to find itself a little bit.
Okay.
Lamar's showing off, you know, as long as he stays healthy. And we talked about him having those 2 extra gears over most everybody else. right? They're home, right? So the Patriots have to come in, that defense, we know what Belichick can do. They say he takes away your best player. Well, now their best player is Lamar, right?
I would say so.
So, do you take what do you take away from Lamar? You take his run away, you make him pass, Ingram, to me, is really the lynch for that game, for that linchpin for that team.
Mm-hmm.
If he can continue to run the ball, then again you can kind of control a little bit about what the Patriots do. But the Patriots do what they're going to do, and the bias plus is going with them. But I am very interested to see how the Ravens attack. This is an AFC matchup.
Yes, it is.
So, those two might have to see each other again. It's possible.
Yeah.
So that's my intriguing game. 8-0 versus 5-2 in this game.
Okay, so the Patriots defense is extremely strong. I've said in the past, as far as I'm concerned, they have no weaknesses. None at all. They're very tough against the run. They're extremely, extremely active and deceptive on the back end. They flow in and out of coverages and fool quarterbacks. And that's not a good thing for Lamar Jackson. As much improved as he is, he ain't ready for this. He ain't ready for this.
He ain't ready for that jelly,
He ain't ready for that. Now, for them to have a chance to make this a game, because they got Justin Tucker as their field goal kicker. So if they could keep it close and maybe get down to the end of this thing and pull it off, they could do it. But I don't think they will. I'm going to take the Patriots. I'll tell you why. I do not believe that they are built for coming from behind yet. They're better built for it than they were last year, but they ain't ready. The Patriots get a couple TDs up on them, they're going to be hard pressed to come back. It's just going to be tough. And yeah, I'm sure they're going to keep Ingram limited. They're going to run blitz so that little fake play action, and then Lamar takes off. It's not going to be there. I think they're going to try to plug all the holes. Probably play a lot of man-to-man and a lot of tricky zone. And, he might rip off one long one. But I think if they keep Ingram under control, he can't run. He can't get enough positive yardage on the ground by himself, Lamar Jackson, to make a difference. He's going to have to throw the ball. They're going to make him throw the ball. And his fastest receiver, I believe, is out. Marquise is out, Marquise Brown.
Mm.
So he's working with, exactly.
looking across the different rankings to see, where they might be close. Turnover differential, they're not too because the Patriots are just number one in everything. Ravens are 14th in turnover differential.
So me picking them is not a big deal.
Fourth in points for. That's where they're closest at.
Okay.
They're fourth, and then Patriots
which
are
is a big improvement from last year. They're scoring. He's throwing the ball much better, and he is hard to stop when he gets running. Once he gets to the second level, you can't tackle this guy. He has not taken a hard hit yet that I've seen.
He's got those gears, but he's going to need those gears.
Yeah, he is.
Because these guys are.
And he may have them, and he may even break off a long one, but it ain't going to be enough.
All right. So you're sticking with the bias.
Yes, sir.
All right. This is where fandom comes in. When you have a division game, rivals, and the hated Cowboys come in with a bias plus score of 135 in their favor. Giants are home at 2-6. Cowboys at 4-3. 135. That's a 126 net point bias in their favor. I know you don't like your own defense. What are you going to do with this one?
Oh, boy. I'm looking for something. What am I looking for? Oh, yeah, okay. I'm even more depressed now than I was. I'm gonna stick with the company line. Their home division rival. I think that if Daniel Jones plays well and Saquon is able to run, which is quite possible, that they can make it a game, make it interesting, and give me some positive things to look forward to next year. But I can't pick them to win. The Cowboys are better than them. They're coming off the bye. Mari Cooper is good. Gallup is healthy. Zeke is Zeke. What can I say, man? All right, I'm
Sticking
I think I'm
with
gonna cry.
the bias in this particular case.
Got
That
to.
makes sense. I mean,
Got
it's
to.
logical. They have to do, what they have to do. They're not quite ready for prime time yet.
Mhm.
The only weird part is that it is a division game, and division games have that weird factor in it. I don't think that weird is enough to overcome the bias. I kind of agree with you on that one. Okie dokie. That is the Monday night game. That wraps up the Bias Plus report, aka
Mostrar Partido.
Oh, you looked it up. You was waiting. You've been waiting.
I've been waiting.
You've been waiting. He's been.
That is
Wait,
the
hold on.
matchup show.
We gotta do that again because that was pretty good. This wraps up the Bias Plus report, also known as
Mostrar Partido.
Man, I'm impressed. I am impressed. Say mostrar.
No, I actually said it wrong the second time. Mostrar Partido.
All right. So for our, Spanish-speaking fans out there, don't say that we didn't give it at least a
Yeah, I hope I didn't butcher
shot and didn't do too much with it. But that wraps up the Bias Plus report for this week. All right. So before we move into the rants and commentary, I just want to quickly share some of our social media with you so that you know where to go to get all of this good information anytime that you want it. And then we'll move into the rants and commentary. So let's start out at the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. This is the basis of all of our information. Visit it at sterlingnppr.com. It'll take you directly to the Facebook page, which is a public page, sort of like a website. Same thing for Ben and Barry on football. If you're at Facebook, I got a little nose thing going there for you right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not bad. Coach of the Seminoles flag football team here in Philadelphia. So we decided to just share a little bit of the Knowles family with him. And I actually know that guy here in the picture.
Yeah, he's okay.
He's all right. I expect he might make the Hall of Fame like his father.
Perhaps.
Could be. All right, Ben and Barry and Football is also on Twitter. So you can visit us there. And again, it's a great place because the people that we follow, I mean, again, if you want to just kind of catch up with what's going on Twitter, there's a lot of good information. There's my favorite Niner right there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. They had a little special on him.
I know.
On the
It was great.
Channel, man.
It was great.
You had to love it. On Instagram, we are there also. And if you go to www.benandbarryonfootball, you'll go to our YouTube channel where all of our videos reside. Okay. So we're going to move on to the commentary. I got a few things. I actually did make some notes, Ben.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So first thing is, this is kind of a question.
Okay.
Some real serious run games happening this year.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if the teams that are focused on really running the ball, are sort of, well, let's put it this way. You know how they say it's a passing game?
It's a passing league.
Passing league. So your
Yes.
running back, I mean, your linebackers and stuff have to be able to handle that, which means that you don't have the big, hulking, slower linebackers now. These guys have to be mobile.
We're trending toward that, yes.
Trending toward that. But the counter trend then is the power run game.
Right.
Because if you are getting smaller,
Mm-hmm.
getting easier to block,
Mm-hmm.
getting, the matchup on the running back favors the running back more now, in the actual. So what do you think? Do you think maybe this counter trend, like the Niners have with the serious hardcore run game, could be, the timing could be really good because the linebackers or because the defenses are now geared towards stopping the pass as opposed to the run?
Well, I think what you're going to start to see is kind of a hybrid linebacker, something along the lines of Devin Bush that plays for the Steelers. A guy who's fast, can cover, can blitz, and can hit. There's not a lot of those guys around. Few teams have them. Most teams don't. But we've seen these kind of trends happen before in the NFL, and it seems like the opposition always catches up, and then something else happens, and then the opposition catches up. And when I say the opposition, I'm talking offense and defense. Remember back in the day when the little fast receivers were in vogue? Mm-hmm. Okay.
You still got them.
Right. There's some,
yeah,
but not as many.
Right.
They're
all on the Chiefs.
In fact, I would say that teams are actually looking for the taller receivers with not necessarily big, but with a little bit of weight on them that have them really good 40 times. There was a trend in getting big, strong cornerbacks and safeties. That seems to have calmed down a little bit because they're more interested in guys that can actually cover. Because speed kills, and every year we go to the combine, and more guys are dropping down to the 4.4s and the 4.3s and the 4.2s. So these trends kind of come and go, and if something trends positively for the offense, somehow the defense figures it out. And I don't mean the defense of the team figures it out, but defensive players come along, and you see them coming in college. You can see them coming. So yeah, it'll work itself out. But right now, it's a tough trend. These teams that can really run the ball and have linemen that can make their initial block and then they get to the second level. So now, not only is the linebacker looking for the hole, finding the running back and hitting him, but the first thing coming at him is a guard who outweighs him by 100 pounds. So he's got to fend that guy off first, or a fullback.
Last week, the Saints game.
Uh-huh.
The Saints had a play where Taysom Hill lined up at fullback.
Okay.
And the guard pulled, and he was on the side that Drew Brees threw the pass. Their running back, Latavius Murray.
Yes. Latavius
was open on this side. Taysom Hill was open on that side. The guard is standing there. There was nobody to block. He's just standing there like, okay. Yeah. And I mean, it was a beautiful play, but
did they have a tricky formation?
A lot of tight formation stuff.
That's tricky. It's hard for a defense to decipher what you're going to do out of a really tight formation.
I kept looking at the defensive setup because there were three linebackers all within the tackles, and I'm like, you guys are just giving up the flanks here. You know what I mean?
Basically.
And so,
at that point, they're like, we're not going to let you power us.
But they had been getting powered. That was the thing that I wanted to mention about Latavius Murray, because we talked about Kareem, what's his name? The first string back.
Yeah.
For the safeties being out.
Right.
And then what type of a running, game adjustment would the Saints make?
Right.
Man, they made, they just showed Kamara. They can go down the depth chart.
Absolutely.
And still be
very versatile offensive line.
The Vikings can go down the depth chart.
Very versatile
and
offensive line.
Still, with running backs who can still run with power.
Right.
So, and the Niners, and if you look at the NFC West, okay, you look at, the Rams, versus the Seahawks and the Niners. Well, your Seahawks and your Niners, they got at least 2 to 3 backs deep.
Yes,
and
they
they're
do.
coming at you with that power run game.
Yep.
Rams have a run game. We just don't know how long.
Yeah, it's a finesse.
They're more of a finesse.
They're a finesse run game. They don't. Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Wanted to make just an observation, and I don't know if you've seen the same thing. You know, I like to focus in on the Cardinals. Kyler Murray and what they're doing with the air raid. One of the things that I noticed about Kyler is that when he throws the ball, okay, other than when he can find a lane and he can zip it.
Okay.
But if he has to drop back in a pocket and throw the ball, he has a serious trajectory on that ball. And it seems to make sense if you're that short and your linemen are that tall, you have to throw the ball like that.
Okay.
It's going to be interesting watching them play my Niners because Richard Sherman, one of the things I used to always say about Sherman was that because of his height, if you were going to throw over him, you had to get the ball a good 7 to 8 yards past him, or between his speed and his height, he could get to that ball. I mean, you really had to put some air on it and get it
right.
and get the receiver behind him with a little bit of space, at least 5 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got a situation where Kyler's already got to throw the ball on a serious arc, if he makes the mistake of going over that side, I could see Sherman coming back with the ball because that's just not the side that you really want to throw on. But have you noticed his trajectory, his arc when his ball throws it? Do you think that could be problematic?
It could be problematic, except he doesn't do it a whole lot because they have a lot of built-in rollout stuff for him. Rolling pocket, built-in rollout, and all that stuff, so they can get him in space so he's not throwing under duress. But if in fact a play calls for him to throw from the pocket, or if he actually gets put in a pocket and has to try to step up, he's going to have to put it up there. And a guy with really good ball skills like Sherman is going to see that, and he's going to get under it.
So I'm just looking. Keep an eye on that, folks. That's just something that that I tended to pick up. And then the last was a note to the Washington team that needs to change their name. It says, I noted, when your offensive line sucks, avoid spread offenses with no backing. Especially in the red zone. Everybody thinks they're Tom Brady. That red zone, man, you get down there and start spreading out. You might think that's easy, but it's not always as easy as you think, especially when your line sucks. So that was a note there. All right, enough for what me. Any last words from you?
My last word is, if you watch the Miami-Pittsburgh game, there was a play in the game where I think it was Mason Rudolph running the ball. I think he was trying to get a first down, and it looked like his knee hit. He had the ball kind of like this, and it looked like his knee hit before he actually broke the plane of the first down marker. So they called it a first down. And then they moved the chains. And then it got challenged. And they had to bring the chains back and reset them. And then figure out, they had to go and look at the replay to figure out when his knee hit, where was the ball. To me, it was plain as day watching the replay that he did not, he was down. But somehow they came back and said that he got the first down. And we've seen things like this happen all season. But Brian Flores, the head coach, who is a real smooth, real cool, real heady kind of guy, snapped on the refs.
Oh, I do kind of.
He was in their faces.
Yeah.
And he was hot because the whole procedure of that thing was kind of messed up. And I don't blame him. I would have done the same thing. I don't know when the challenge flag got thrown, but they were too quick to move that ball. They were too quick to move the chains. And then I think they lost their initial spot. And their explanation was, we're going to put everything back, and then we're going to bring out the chains to measure. No, just look at the replay before nothing got moved. So they brought it back. They put the ball down. He's like, that's not the spot. You can see him saying, that's not the spot. That's not where it was. And then they brought out the chains.
No.
He just made it, and he shouldn't have.
Okay.
He's just made it, and he shouldn't have. But I say all this to say, on a team where the word tanking is being thrown around, on a team that hasn't won any games, and on a team whose head coach was just fired from the Denver Broncos for having a really rough season, and now he's got to rebuild this thing. I just hope that the management decisions that are bringing on this tank mode, because it's not him and it's not the players. If you get rid of it, anybody who's a Sixers fan knows what tanking's all about. You get a good coach, and then you get rid of all his good players. And you say, okay, here's your team. Coach them up and try to win games, knowing that it's going to be extremely difficult. That's the position that Brian Flores is in. I feel bad for the brother, but I hope that they let him, I don't know what kind of contract he signed, but I hope they let him wait this thing out, get some drafts under his belt, and be able to actually build a good team down there again. And I loved his fire. You know, anybody else could have been like, they got us. You know, we're going to lose anyway. You know, but he was scratching and clawing for that inch.
Got to give him credit.
Got to give him credit
for hanging in there. We've been on losing teams, so we know what it's like when you know, you're looking up and the motivations are different, you know, and all of that. Once you reach a point, and we're kind of there. You know, if you look again, you go back to the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and what we call the neighborhoods. You got a few neighborhoods where teams are basically kind of done for the year. I mean, if you look from 25th down to 32nd in net points, you got the Browns, the Cardinals, the Giants, the Falcons, the Bengals, the team that needs to change their name. It's got me. The Jets and the Dolphins.
Yeah, let's not throw dirt on the Browns yet.
Well, they're 25th. Nice. So, yeah, you are trying to be nice with them. They are literally below the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Buccaneers in terms of their points.
They're definitely in the bad neighborhood.
That's not the neighborhood you want to be in. The Lions, Panthers, Chargers, Eagles, and Steelers and the Colts are in that area right around the middle. Colts being +7, Lions being -6.
Right.
So they
still have life.
Yeah, they're inhabiting. There's still some life there. Probably looking at the Eagles, maybe the Panthers coming out of that. You said I don't know about the Chargers. I'm not sure about what the Chargers are going to do. The up in the set, the two-digit numbers starting out in the net point, Jaguars, Bills, Seahawks, and Titans are still in the teens at rankings from 11th down to 14th. And then you got your top 10. Your Texans at 10, Saints 9, Rams 8, Chiefs 7, Packers 6. And go to the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings for the top 5 in net points. But those are your neighborhoods. So,
yeah, that 11 to 20 neighborhood, your wild card teams are going to come out of there, if anything. Everybody in there should be fighting for a wild card.
All right, there you go. So that wraps up this week's portion of Ben and Barry on football. Again, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. You can reach us at www.benandbarryonfootball. If you are on YouTube, please click the subscribe and the notification bell. That's all for me. Any last words for you?
Go Knowles.
There you go.